so she makes it enjoyable.
And is it in your pocket?
You'll be good. Yeah.
Comm. You're comm too, right? Yeah.
I'm sure Nichelle would appreciate that. Isn't she the one teaching, right? Well, maybe both. No, Janice teaches with me on Thursday night.
Fetty Wap, just like yeah, I know. Oh my God, I'm not even looking at the lights and my eyes are like tearing up.
Oh my God. Fear this.
Yeah, I know, just the black,
Yeah,
dark
fear
color.
the darkness. Because like me, with my like peripheral, like my eyes, I feel like they like bulge. They bulge.
Traditional combination. It was too spicy. I needed a base.
This makes me so nervous.
Stop. I thought you were serious for a second. I was like, what? Yeah, I know. Because I'm in their like film, I don't want to say intro class, but it's one of those. No, it's just like a normal JMAC whatever class. I needed to take extra credit. It's a lot of fun, but they're missing a lot of.
It's expensive.
Yeah, exactly. They were really upset. I felt really bad. I'm like, oh, I know it's not me.
I mean, that is sad because
It's a lot.
they're really expensive.
Like every single piece, I feel like is.
It's just like if you're going to borrow it, return it.
Right.
Things that come bad, go bad.
Right.
So whoever.
I'm ready.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. This will be to the video open. 2, 1, that out.
Good evening and welcome to Otterbein Debate. This evening we're going to be looking at how we elect our president, specifically whether we should be using the Electoral College or popular vote. Advocating for the popular vote is Senior Communication Studies major Lisa Adams. Defending the Electoral College is Senior Communication Studies major Paulina Bacigalupo. Our judges for this evening, our Director of Academic Support, Dr. Christine Drobny, the Associate Director of the Center for Student Involvement, Dr. Colette Masterson, and Assistant Professor of History, Dr. Joby DeCoster. We also have Denise Shively from the Chair of the Department of Communication, and our student representative on the panel is Michaela Williams, a Communication Studies major. Each debater has strict time limits in this debate. They will each have a 6-minute constructive speech to present their position. Each will then have 2 minutes to question each other in a cross-examination period. The affirmative will then have a 3-minute rebuttal. The negative will have a 6-minute rebuttal, and then the affirmative ends the debate with a 3-minute summary speech. I will be keeping time. Are the debaters ready?
Yep.
Are the judges ready? Then let's begin.
This year is an election year. It happens every 4 years, and I think we can all agree that it's pretty entertaining so far. In each presidential election, political parties in each state nominate a group of candidates for elector. And it is these elector candidates, rather than the presidential and vice presidential nominees, for whom the people vote in November the election, which is held Tuesday after the first Monday of November. This is called the Electoral College. Why? In 1787, two important things would forever change the face of American politics. The U.S. Constitution was drafted, and according to History.com, it was decided the average citizen wasn't well educated enough to elect a president without the abridge of a system now known as the Electoral College. In today's world, each state has a number of electors equal to the number of its U.S. senators, as well as the number of its U.S. representatives. Overall, the Electoral College has 538 electors. There are three problems with this system, with the system that I want to argue. With this small number to represent 319 billion people, one, these electors don't have to vote the way the people of their state instructed them to. Just because a certain candidate won the popular vote in your state does not mean that your electors have to cast their vote for the same candidate. And electors that votes against the will of the people are called faithless electors. According to fairvote.org, since the founding of the Electoral College, there have been 157 faithless electors. Only 29 states have legislation that penalizes faithless electors, and of those that do, no faithless electors has ever been successfully prosecuted, according to Fairvote. 21 states do not mandate that an elector must vote for his or her party candidate. So should the opinion of one person be able to overwrite the will of thousands or even millions of American voters? 2, it's misleading to Americans. Many Americans believe that their one vote will help decide who is going to be our next president. And of course, it does mean something. But having everyone know that the Electoral College have the last say makes people second-guess their vote. In 2012, the most recent time Americans voted, the country's population was nearly 313 million, of which about 241 million were at least 18, the legal voting age, according to the most recent data available from the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance. That means nearly 194 million Americans, which is 80%, were registered to vote. But in that same election, 67% of the country's registered voters cast a ballot. Number 3, states with large populations have an unfair advantage. Each state's electoral votes are equal to the number of members it has in the House and Senate combined. Right now, there are states that rarely see a political campaign, and if they do, it's because the candidates must quickly visit to raise money. Minorities lose their voice. Swing states appeal to majorities within those states because they want to win the electoral vote. The Electoral College gives too much power to the majority. When we were young, we were always told that our vote goes towards whom we want as president. If we have just the popular vote, one person, one vote, we as a country would get a more accurate reading on who the people of the United States wants as our next president. So to improve our democracy, we should, 1, eliminate the Electoral College and replace with the popular vote. This would let us know who actually gets elected with the citizens' votes. It would make every vote count. There would not be another system that would put their vote to represent a large portion of people. This would solve faithless electors, and all votes, in reality, would end up counting. 2, by having it eliminated, voting turnout would increase. With the winner-take-all elections we have now, people who are in the minority party in their states have no real reason to come out and vote. It would increase the confidence in the system throughout America. It would also increase options for elections by giving the third party a chance at winning. According to CNN, right now, the third party just needs to attract enough voters to just be included. Imagine the support they would receive if everyone started on an equal playing field. Candidates would also campaign to get as many individual votes as possible in every state. Instead of focusing on states that provide key electoral votes, each vote would make a difference, and voters would feel like they truly have stakes in the election, which would lead to increase of voting across the country. Number 3, this would have an increase of a democracy and makes us look better around the world. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the country of Belgium had 87% of their citizens' votes, Turkey with 84%, and South Korea with 80%. The United States has a much lower percentage. What does that say about us as a country, and how do others perceive us when we can't even get our own citizens to vote? According to a Gallup poll in January 2013, it was found that the vast majority of Americans would prefer to do away with the Electoral College for presidential elections. 63% of national adults votes for getting rid of the Electoral College when 29% voted against it. This is why the U.S. should have the popular vote system instead of the Electoral College.
I have a few questions. In your first point, you stated about faithless electors. How many have there been again?
157 total.
And then do we know why they changed their vote?
On top of my head, I know 70 were because the candidate died. And then 3 or 4 more just didn't want to vote, and I can't remember the rest of the numbers.
Okay. And then in your second point, you stated how Electoral College is misleading. What proof do you have that can determine that it's misleading?
Well, they're not actually voting for the candidate. They're just voting for someone to make another decision for them, if that makes sense.
Okay. And then my third point is, how can you say that eliminating the Electoral College voting would increase votes around the nation?
Can you say that one more time, please?
How eliminating the Electoral College, like completely erasing it, would increase voters around the world?
I mean, with a popular vote, the confidence of people in general would go up because they're actually receiving something that they think that they are actually doing.
Okay, thank you. Now, aren't we glad we live in the United States of America where we have the Electoral College? I know I am, because every 4 years we have a presidential election where Electoral College continues to protect our democracy nationwide. As my opponent stated not too long ago, she explained the Electoral College process here in the United States. Again, yes, we Americans, the citizens of this great nation, nominate candidates for electors. The roles and responsibilities in the Electoral College process are that of the Office of Federal Register coordinates the functions of the Electoral College on behalf of the Archivist of the United States, the Congress, and the American people. The Electoral College is a process, not a place. The Founding Fathers established in the Constitution as a compromise between election of the President by vote in the Congress and the election of President by popular vote of qualified citizens. The Electoral College consists of, again, 538 electors. A majority of 270 electoral votes are required to elect the President. One state is entitled to electors equals the numbers of members in its congressional delegation and House of Representatives. Electoral College has served the country well. The framers of the Constitution intended that in 1787. They got it right the first time, says Robert Hardaway, the law professor at the University of Denver and the author of the Electoral College and Constitution. If we were to abolish the Electoral College in favor of direct popular election, it would require the nation to amend the Constitution, states Joshua of CQ researcher. The Electoral College has met several standards that sought out to reconcile and balance differing state and federal interests, give the state legislature the authority to provide their preferred means of choosing the electors, including by popular vote. Selection by the legislature itself or any other method preserves the presidency and as independent of Congress for election and re-election, and generally insulate the election process from political manipulation. The Electoral College method of electing the President and Vice President of the United States was perhaps the best deal the delegates felt they could get. The Electoral College system has demonstrated both durability and adaptability during more than 2 centuries of government under the U.S. Constitution. The Constitution sets the size of Electoral College, the allocation of electors among the states, the margin of votes to win, and the procedure for a contingent election. States Congressional Research Services informing the legislative debate since the year 1914. Each state has a certain number of electors. The votes are a combination of the number of U.S. House members a state has and their numbers of senators, which is always 2. This means that even the smallest states, like Vermont, take Vermont for instance, has at least 3 electoral votes. It has 1 congressman and 2 senators. Meanwhile, the largest state, California, has 55 electoral votes, 2 senators, 53 House members. Vermont's population is only 621,000, while California has over 36 million. Mathematically, California is 57 times larger than Vermont. However, it is only 18 times more powerful in the Electoral College. It is designed to make sure that Vermont and all other smaller states have a political influence. With the Electoral College, less individual responsibility, and with disregard for economic growth, the death of the Electoral College would lead to the demise of liberty. The swing states are as follows: Colorado, Florida, Iowa, Nevada, New Hampshire, North Carolina, Virginia, Wisconsin, and here, Ohio. When you hear that list, you hear several small states on it. States that without the Electoral College would be totally ignored. Very small states like New Hampshire, Iowa, and Nevada would be completely ignored without Electoral College. My opponent brought up faithless electors, but admitted in cross-examination that has only happened 157 times, and that 70 of those were due because the candidate had passed away. So this is not a real problem if you think about it. There's not an electoral scenario that doesn't make an eloquent case for an electoral college. That includes the swing states situation, because little tiny states like New Hampshire only matter because they are in contention, and the electoral vote makes them quote-unquote matter, states Brian Miller of CNS News. So in all actuality, we do need the Electoral College. Thank you.
Four questions. So you agree that electors have been faithless?
Yes.
Have there ever been consequences for it to make them stop?
There are no consequences at this time.
And so we live in Ohio, and it's a swing state. Is the people's vote in Ohio more important than others?
It's the same all around.
Okay. And can we amend the Constitution again?
It's a process, though, with a lot of obstacles, and the Electoral College has worked from the beginning, and it's just a lost cause to eliminate it.
Great. Thank you. The Electoral College was created at a time when the country was very different than today. Women could not vote. They didn't have the world at their fingertips, on a screen, in their back pockets, every day. The Electoral College may have worked back then, but in 2016, it can be manipulated. The 2000 election of Bush and Gore is a prime example of that. The popular vote is the will of the people. According to History.com, one of the main reasons they created it in the first place was because the founding fathers were concerned that even qualified citizens who were generally white and male did not have the ability to make an informed decision. In swing and smaller states, an individual vote is only as valuable as its ability to influence the majority vote of the state. The Electoral College promotes candidates to focus on appealing to majorities of people, instead of attempting to appeal to as many people as possible. It fails to represent minorities as accurately as it would as it would with the popular vote system.
With the Electoral College, the electors do vote similar to the people of the state. Their votes do matter. Just because a certain candidate won the popular vote in one state, it does not mean the electors have to cast their vote for the same candidate. Not all electors are faithless electors. Who is to say that the popular vote, one person, one vote, we as a country would get a more accurate reading on who people want to be the commander in chief of the United States? The elimination of the Electoral College would not make voting easier to count, but more troublesome. It can actually make every vote very difficult to count. To repeat what my opponent said, yes, there would not be another system that would put their vote to represent a large portion of people, but Electoral College does. The voting turnout cannot be truly determined if it would increase, decrease, or stay the same. Electoral College has been good from the beginning. Electoral College has served us well. The framers of the Constitution intended that in 1787, they got it right the first time, again by Robert Hardway, the law professor at the University of Dayton at Denver and author of the Electoral College and Constitution. With the winner-take-all elections we have now, people's votes could be incorrectly counted and have been in the past. Electoral College is needed for the protection of our nation's democracy. Thank you.
By electing our president solely based on who the majority of our population selects, without the inclusion of the Electoral College, the vote of every American citizen would hold equal weight and significance. With the Electoral College, the voting power of the people have been diluted and unequally distributed across our nation. It's time to make our votes count and not just be suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the debaters. An exciting debate. While the judges are thinking, I would like to take the opportunity to thank Otterbein TV for hosting these Otterbein debates, as well as WOBN carrying them live on the radio. And I'd like to thank the students who were involved in this and all of our production students as well. And of course, I want to thank the audience for watching and for coming and being a part of this great event. Judges, have you made up your minds? Then I would ask you to raise the card which reflects the way that you want to vote. Wow. And we have a split decision. It's 3-2 for the maintaining the Electoral College. Thank you all. And we will see you again at our next Otterbein debate. Yeah, good.